Podcast. We do have a special guest today. We are here today with Robin Black with the It's All About Healing podcast, and she gonna talk to us today about hurt and pain and all that good stuff that y'all like to hear about and stuff that we can do to help with the hurt and pain. Robin, won't you go ahead? Say hello.
Absolutely. Hey, how is everybody going today?
Everybody's good. Everybody. Okay, so Robin, what we gonna do first to get this kicked off? We're gonna go ahead. I know you recently just put up a clip to your recent podcast, and we're gonna
Mhm.
take a quick listen to that, and then you're gonna go ahead and explain the pain and the hurt because everybody goes through pain and hurt.
Absolutely.
Everybody, you know, I lost money today, and it was painful. It was hurtful, although I was the one who spent it. All right, let's get to it.
I know it hurts. It's almost as though you can feel the pain, as though it's bleeding like an open wound. The pain hurting so deeply, you almost forget to breathe. Feeling lonely in this world like you don't even matter. Wanting to stay in bed and never answer your phone, or refuse to answer the door because you don't want to be bothered. Although online shopping is quite convenient, it can be harmful to those who want to shut out the world, as they are so far gone in the battle of the mind that the enemy is wanting to control. As the sun shines through the windows, you may want to shut all the blinds and curtains and continue to shut out the world around you. Why is it when we feel lonely, we still don't want to be bothered with anyone? The enemy wants to kill, steal, and destroy. The darkness begins to grow inside of us. Some may become bitter. Others may be filled with rage and revenge, while others can't stop crying and suffering from the pain. This hurt feeling is where we can no longer remain. Don't prolong the suffering. Remember who you are. A lot of us seem to think we're failing, but really we're not. When faced with adversity, we look in the eyes of expansion and opportunity. Sometimes the very things that get in the way are the things that pave the way, so don't give up. We can't wish our lives away. We can't pray for God to make it all better without even doing the work. Pray for strength to keep going. Pray for stronger discernment. Pray for the love of God. Now is the time we need Him more than ever. We cannot fight these battles alone. So do the work and never stop pushing. Ask yourself, what is your deep?
All right. Hold on. Was that the end of the clip?
No, but it's okay. What did you want to, what
Your
was your
deep
question?
Okay. So we just got a little taste of what Robin does with All About Healing podcast. Now,
Yeah.
that's you know that sounded very, very seductive.
Well, it wasn't meant to be seductive, Mike.
Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, go go ahead and go into a little bit deeper detail about this particular because you said a lot of things that actually make sense. When you feeling so down and out where you don't even want to get out the bed, don't want to
Mhm.
answer your phone, don't want to talk to nobody or anything like that. Just
Yeah.
go ahead and elaborate. Like, what's everything that causes these situations, and what can we do? Like, what causes it? What can we do to better ourselves? Like all that.
Well, at first I wanted to start off with thank you are one of my biggest supporters, and I greatly, greatly appreciate your support all the time because you have definitely been there for me since I first started this podcast. So I really do greatly appreciate you.
Oh, no problem.
Um, but it's mainly about because there's so many people out here who are facing adversities and they always feel like they're alone. They always want to sit inside. They always want to, when somebody says, "Hey, what's wrong?" they typically say, "I'm fine." That's the first thing that we always say, but we're all going through the same thing. And that's why we're here. We're here for each other. We're here for all of us. We're all going through it. We all face it. And if we haven't overcame it, we're probably currently going through it. And there's so many people out here who feel like I'm the only one that's going through this. Nobody else will ever understand. But there's so many people out here who go through the same thing. And that's what my podcast is about whether I'm interviewing other people or actually just doing an episode by myself. It's about helping people see that they're not alone and that other people are going through the same thing. And some people could end up being that walking testimony for others as well.
Yeah, I completely understand that because when you feel like you're alone and you feel like you're the only one going through things, that can lead you down a real dark path. I mean, I think that's where a lot of the suicides probably come from.
Absolutely.
Feeling worthless because you
Absolutely.
feel like nobody else in the world is going through this, or you may feel like, why is this happening to me? It's only happening to me. Nothing good's ever happened to me.
Right, exactly. And that's when we get in that state of mind, negative thoughts manifest themselves. So it's going to continue to grow and you're going to go deeper and deeper down that rabbit hole of darkness, of feeling self-sabotage, feeling like nobody needs me here. The world doesn't need me. That's where those suicidal thoughts come from. That's where the depression comes from. And it just goes deeper and deeper and it's harder to come out of that once you are in the self-sabotaging mode. You're pretty much stuck. You're not going to get out of there by yourself.
How do people get, one thing that you hear people say a lot is like, it's not that deep. It's not that big
Mhm.
of a deal. Why you that depressed? Why you that down and out? Like, what do you think it is that allows people to get so deep down in depression or so deep down into the pain where they actually get to the point where they feel like their world is ending? Because something can happen to you right now and you'll be like, you'll shake it off. You often hear people, a lot of times people compare others to themselves.
Mhm.
Are you tripping off of that? That ain't nothing. You know, I
Mhm.
I lost 10 family members and I'm doing just fine.
Mhm.
Like, what do you think it is about certain individuals where they just gets too deep to the point they can't come out of it? Think it's a chemical imbalance? Do you think they just handle depression worse than others? Like, what you think about that?
It's honestly situational. It just depends on what's going on with them because everybody grieves differently. So if, say for instance, if we both went through the same thing, but my experience was more traumatic than your experience because I'm my own person. It's how I perceived what happened. And you don't know what other people's triggers are. Something that might have happened to you that happened to me also happened to me in my childhood. So now it affected me even more in adulthood. It's very situational. It just honestly depends. And people, you can't really get mad at others who feel that way also, who say, "Oh, well, it's not really that deep," because it's not for them to feel a certain type of way. It's not for their understanding. It's for you to understand. It's not for everybody else around you to understand what it is that you're going through.
So, if a person is going through something traumatic or, something that gets them to that point, what do in your personal opinion, you feel like they need to be doing or what they need to be trying to do so they may not get back to where they're super happy and super jolly, but at least get back to a point where they can function back, back functioning, back wanting to answer the phone, back wanting to talk to people. What can they do for that?
It depends. Again, it's very hard to just say exactly what to do because not everybody is going to have a direct answer because everybody is different. But it depends. If you're dealing with like any type of relationship trauma, or you're dealing with a narcissist, anything like that, that's going to hurt tremendously. But sometimes the best thing to do that I recommend to most of my clients is record yourself. Record yourself with how you're feeling, whether it's angry, whether it's sad, whatever, whether you feel suicidal, and give yourself a couple of days, give yourself a couple of days, give yourself a week, and rewatch the video. And 9 times out of 10, when you rewatch that video of yourself, it's almost as if you're comforting yourself, because you're going to be like, why did I say that? Why am I feeling this way? I shouldn't have felt this way. And it's kind of like you're reassuring yourself. And when you look at yourself in that state of mind, you immediately are like, no, that's not going to fly. I'm not going to feel like that. So I'm going to keep on pushing, keep on moving, and then just keep doing it again. Record another video that day and then watch it 2 or 3 days later. And then you just constantly keep coming out of it, because I'm a person who always had to be my own hero. I didn't have anybody there for me. So that's exactly what I did, is I just started recording myself to see how I felt and how I could do better each time.
Okay, now your podcast is called It's All About Healing.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you decided that you wanted to get into the podcast world and start doing this, one, what made you want to get into the podcast world? And two, what made you come up with that name for your podcast?
Honestly, it took me quite a few titles before I got to that one.
Oh, I know. I think I was there for that process. Right? Okay.
Because I was always afraid. I was always afraid. I've gone through trauma myself. I've gone through depression. I've gone through so much. And I was always afraid to speak my truth. I was like, just kind of wanted to dim my own light. People aren't trying to hear what I got to say. People don't care. People don't do that, and I never tried to go out and do it myself. And then it was just like a calling. It was a calling to, what? Maybe I should just start a podcast and just start talking and see who listens. And
All right.
that's exactly what I did. In June last year, I just started the podcast and started talking, and then more and more people started downloading, and then I started collaborating with others, and it just kind of grew from there.
It's definitely seemed like you picked the correct path to go, because I know that your podcast is doing very well.
Thank you. Yes, it is.
Now that we didn't let people know, what you do and how you do it and all that. One of the things that we was talking about off air, because we was talking about trauma and certain situations, right? Was child support.
Yeah.
Right. What's your thoughts on child support? That was one of the things that we talked about off air a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we about to get into a whole lot. Yeah.
Well,
I'm feeling good tonight.
Well, it just, like I said, it depends. It depends on.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Before you
the
start.
relationship.
Wait a minute. Before you start. Child support in the child court system.
Okay.
Now, y'all thoughts.
It depends. It really does. I mean, me personally, I think it should be a mutual agreement. I know me personally, in my own personal experience, me and my ex-husband, when we went to the courthouse, or, to court, whatever it was, and I was filling out the paperwork, the lady just automatically was like, okay, we'll put this on him. And I didn't want that. I said, we co-parent very well. I don't need him. I don't need him on this. I don't need any of that. And she was just like, no, we'll just go ahead and put it on. And it was like she was fighting with me. It was like she was forcing me to put it on him, and that he had to pay something. And I kept telling her I did not want that. I don't want him to have to pay this. And in order to get on any type of, what else was she talking about? To get on TANF or something else. I can't remember. It was so long ago, but she was forcing me to give his father's name and his history. And I'm like, I told her 500 times, I do not need this. And it made me feel like I know there are some fathers out here that don't want to be there for their children, just as there's some mothers out here that don't want to be here for their children. But the system that we are dealing with today does not seem to care. They don't even want to hear when you're sitting there. I was blatantly telling her, hey, he's a good father. My kids are with him right now for the entire summer. She was not trying to hear me. She still only wanted to put it on him. And then she started getting an attitude with me because I didn't want to. And it just like, it does not make sense when it comes to certain things like that. I do see the system as being unfair when it comes to that.
No, one thing that court will say is that, we're trying to do stuff that's in the best interest of the child.
Mm-hmm.
But in a lot of cases, as in your case, it seems like they're just trying to screw people over. I mean, if you're there telling them, no, we don't need to do this because he's actually a great father. Our marriage just happened not to work out,
Mm-hmm.
but he's still a great father. And the fact that they're still pushing it kind of makes you think about, is the real agenda of the support system really for the best interest of the child? Or because they say they get money, the government gets money from child support, which is why they, I guess, was trying to force you to put him on that. So it's just weird.
I don't know. I just know if it were really in the best interest for the child, they would listen. They would hear you out. And I don't really think it's that I feel like it's just they're careless. You know what I mean? I don't know. A lot of these government jobs don't pay very well. So if you don't pay very well, you're not paying your employees. That's exactly, if you pay them, hey, they're definitely underpaid. Guess what you're going to get? You're going to get underpaid workers. So it's just like, if you aren't paying well enough for me to be in here every single day, getting cussed out, dealing with irate customer after irate customer, because that's what you're going to deal with when you're dealing with child support issues. So if you don't pay me enough, that's exactly what you're going to get. I'm going to act like I could care less. I'm not going to hear you when you're speaking to me because I don't get paid enough to even to deal with it. They're just like, I'm just here putting in my time for my paycheck and I'm trying to clock out. So they're not really trying to listen to your story. They're not trying to do anything like that.
Do you believe overall that the child court system is unfair for the man? Overall.
In some cases, yes, I do.
I do too. Because it'd be so much stuff that goes on in the child court system. I mean, you women have it good. I mean, y'all could literally keep the kids away from the father. It won't nothing happen.
There's a lot of cases where people do that. There is. And I agree. And that to me, I actually did an episode about that, because when you do that, when there's a lot of women out here who will try to use their children as like a bargaining tool just because they're hurt that the dad doesn't want to be with them or whatever, silly reason it is. It's the mental health. When you have these fathers who go on live and they shoot and kill the mother, or they kill the kids and the mom, I'm not condoning it, but it's like, okay, well, what drove him to that point? If anybody, as a mother who really wants to be there for her children, because not every mother does, but if somebody were to keep your kids away from you purposely to hurt you, it would drive you crazy. That's the reality of it. It would absolutely drive you insane if you do that. So why would you do it to someone else? And then everybody wants to act surprised and blame the father for going crazy and shooting and killing the mother. But it's like, okay, well, what drove him to that? Where's the full story? What was going on behind closed doors, behind the scenes, as to, was she keeping the kids from him, thinking it was funny, to calling her friend on the phone, laughing about it, just, oh, I'm just trying to get his money, but he still ain't gonna see the kids, he still ain't gonna do this. Not saying that that's every single situation, but it's majority of them. That's exactly what's happening. They're being petty and keeping the kids away from them for whatever reason, just because they think it's funny and they want the money without even giving it to the children.
And you know what's interesting about that? As you know, like when I do the Stop the Madness podcast, right? I got a lot of backlash a lot of times because I will often tell the whole story of a situation that happens.
Mhm.
Now, we have a lot of people out here who be like, "Well, I don't care what happened before that. A person don't have a right to do that," right? And I say, I agree with that, but we can't act like this ain't the reality of the situation. Like this person, like I did a story where this wife ended up killing her husband, right?
Mhm.
You know, she found out he was cheating. They've been married for like 20 plus years. She ended up taking him out. So, you know, sometimes you have people say, well, it don't matter what happened. You should never do that. I said, yes, I agree with you. You should never get to the point where you do that. But we're not going to act like the reality of the situation is that certain situations don't just drive people over the edge. People are human and people like to take away that aspect. And I think that the fact that people can't talk about that is what really causes a lot of issues, because since you can't talk about it, people keep doing the shit instead of learning the lessons that can be learned from the tragedies. Uh-oh, wait a minute. I think we done lost. Did we lose Miss Robin Black? I think we did. We may have to do a part 2 on this because I think we lost her. 1 second. I'm going to see if I can get her back. Hold on. Let's see if she comes back in here. If not, we're going to have to end this podcast because we done lost our guest. And then we're going to have to start over and do a part 2. So let's see if we can get her back in here. Let's give her 60 seconds, people. But until she decides if she can come back or not. People don't like the reality of life. So when certain situations happen, when certain bad things happen, they say, oh, that shouldn't happen no matter what. I don't care what happened. That's not reality. As long as you keep doing that, bad things are going to continue to happen. That's like me. I have children. You know what I'm going to tell my children, my son and my daughter? Don't put your hands on nobody unless you have to. Unless it's a situation where you have to and you have to fight, don't put your hands on somebody. Don't be just trying to punk people. You know why? Because bad things happen sometimes. We see it all the time. How many times have you seen, especially nowadays, because at this point, they really are desensitizing everything. So they show everything. You know, back in the day, you used to see stuff every once in a while, but you could turn on your internet right now and see the most gruesome, gory facts. You can see the most gruesome, gory videos online today. How many times has somebody was punking somebody in a classroom, and then they just turned around and get beat down? How many times you see somebody messing with somebody? Matter of fact, 1 second, people. That's Robin calling back. Robin, now don't say nothing that you don't want nobody to hear because you are on speaker. We did lose you.
I know. I feel so bad. My phone died. My apologies.
Your phone died.
Do you need me to get back on?
I
can get back on now.
Yeah, if you can get back on, go ahead and get back on.
Okay, here I come.
All right. All right, so her phone died, but she's coming back. But how many times have you seen something that should have just, you thought it was just about to be a fight and they pulled out a weapon and end up killing that person? Keep your hands to yourself. But they don't like you to tell the whole story though. They feel like you're justifying it if you tell the whole story. I remember I did a story on Stop the Madness where this husband ended up taking out his wife. Did he have a right to take out his wife? Did he have a right to end his wife? No, I don't think so. I don't think people have a right to kill other people. But if I'm gonna sit here and act and be stupid and act like it don't happen, we like to act like stuff don't happen. That's the world we live in. Oh, stuff don't happen. And since I told the whole story, that lady's, I think it was her niece or something, was all on my comments going crazy. It don't matter that she cheated. He didn't have a right to do it. I said, I never said he had a right to do it. I'm just telling the whole story. He just because she cheated, he should have just left. I said, yeah, he should have just left because now he's about to spend the rest of his life in prison. To me, that's not a good trade-off. But for some people, they feel like, hey, you done wasted 15, 20, 30 years of my life. They gonna handle it how they handle it. It don't matter if you think it's right. It don't matter if you personally think it's right or not. At that point in time, it mattered what they thought. And unfortunately, they thought it was the right thing to do. And then she said, well, you're a horrible person for bringing up the fact that she cheated. And I said, she a horrible person for cheating. She didn't like it when I said that. I said, can we act like the cheating didn't have anything to do with it? I mean, if your auntie didn't cheat, would she still be alive today? She probably would be. But you just want me to gloss over that because you don't want your auntie to be looked at in a bad light, as if your auntie didn't do anything. The same thing with the husband, with the lady who killed her husband. He was a cop or sheriff. We can't act like he didn't do nothing that didn't lead to that. Robin, welcome back.
Hey.
I'm just speaking, you know. I had to let them know what it is while you was gone for a little bit.
Yeah.
Is your phone
Again, I do
charged?
apologize.
Is it on the charger?
Yes, it is.
All right. Don't be falling out.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. She said facts. That's right. She said it's karma. But yeah, so when you fell out, I just, when you was speaking on the, how keeping your kids from you, whether if you're a male, whether if you're a mother or a father, can lead somebody to do something that they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Sometimes I feel like you're dealing with people that's just crazy. I do believe that people are still crazy. We live in a world where you have to be politically correct and you can't necessarily, I believe that there's just some crazy people out here and no matter what you do, they was going to do something crazy. Like,
absolutely.
But I also believe that you can be driven, certain people.
Because we still will have that animal instinct within us. So, and everybody has a dark and a light side. It's just, it all depends on what factors into it and what you can drive people to do. That's why they came up with that show Snapped, because it happens. It's clear as day. There's so much evidence that it actually does happen. People can drive people to do certain things that they never would have ever imagined.
That Snap show I actually loved that show. That show taught me about a law that I knew nothing about this law until I watched Snap. It was either Snap or Fatal Attraction, one of them. It was called A Crime of Passion, where you can say that you can take out somebody, you can delete somebody, take them off the earth, but you can say that in that moment you were so enraged because you came in and seen your husband in bed with another woman, or you came home and seen your wife in bed with another man, that a crime of passion just took off. And now instead of doing 25 years to life, you doing 5 and you out in 3. The fact that that's a law, that you can actually take that to court and use that as a defense, me seeing this destroyed my life. When I seen it, I went red. I don't know what was happening. I was just in the crazy. I was just in the madness.
Yeah.
How you feel about that law? Do you think that's a good law to have? Yeah, you took somebody's life, but the reason that you're saying that you took somebody's life, you pretty much snapped, we're just going to give you 35 years. Do you think that's a good law to have, or you think that if you take a life, you should have to do 25 to life, regardless of the situation?
taking someone's life and only doing 3 years to me is absolutely ridiculous, because that it's about, again, the mental health of how it affects everybody. It's not just going to affect just that person, just the defendant and the plaintiff. You know what I mean? The victim's family members. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to be involved in that, and it's going to be so many people that it's going to affect. Where's the fairness? There's no fairness in that. I'm not saying that somebody deserves to, be sentenced to death because of it. No, but getting out in 3 years, that's absolutely ridiculous to me.
Do you think that you say you don't think they should be sentenced to death, but do you think that if you was to kill somebody and you was sentenced to death, that was like the automatic punishment? Ain't no 25 to life, ain't no ever chance of getting off. You take somebody out, you will be executed. You think that'll drop the murder rates?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because there's too much hate in this world. They would still do it because 9 times out of 10, criminals feel like they're going to get away with it. So they're going to continue to do it. That wouldn't change anything.
That is true. When you said criminals feel they're going to get away with it, that just makes me think of the gun laws, how they, they like, well, take away the guns. And my personal opinion is criminals are going to be criminals.
Right.
They going to break the law. Like, that's not, only thing you're doing is taking law-abiding citizens. They can't protect themselves. They can't do nothing because criminals are still going to be, strapped.
Right.
I mean, look at all the felons. Look at all the felons that catch gun cases that ain't supposed to have guns, and now they doing bids on the gun charge. Like, that didn't keep them, because you rather have it and take your chances going to prison than to, get taken out.
Exactly.
These laws are.
And honestly, I feel like, in my opinion, I don't know, I mean, a lot of people probably aren't going to agree with me, but I feel what the world is coming to now, the system is just more depending on who the judge is, depending on who's on the jury. It's all about, hey, do I know this person? They're definitely biased. Am I having a bad day? If I'm having a bad day or I'm having a good day, I might just let them off. I might just put them on probation. And it's like, it's all about money to me, because mostly everybody gets put on the GPS monitor, right? They get the little ankle bracelet, but then you're already in the system. So how are you going to still sit here and keep paying for it? Somebody's got to pay for it, because that's what that ankle monitor is. It's being paid by somebody. Mm-hmm. And then you get in there and then they'll tell you, oh, okay, well, it's restitution. Then we got to pay this. We got to pay. How are you going to pay it? If you have a record, you're not going to get a good paying job. So you're going to forever either go back to you're going to end up going back to jail, because you're going to go to the streets to try to make your money. So what are you supposed to do? It's going to be a never ending cycle. And it's like, you have to take the personal feelings out of it, because that's exactly what it's coming to. Law to me doesn't mean anything, because so many people are ignoring it. They're changing the laws based off of how they feel. Now they're talking about, oh, if it's wrongful convictions, we're still going to just go ahead and keep them in there. We're going to get rid of that. It's like, how can you get rid of that?
That makes no sense.
Exactly.
We know you got convicted wrongly, but oh well.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're like, okay, these people are spending years of their lives in there. So then it's like, okay, if you were wrongfully convicted and you spent 25 years in prison, and they let you out, okay, oh, you've been exonerated. But now, has prison changed you after 25 years? I'm sure it has. So what is that person going to do after they've only been in prison? They only known that for 25 years. Now what? They don't know how to be when they come out and try to go back to civilization. They won't know how to do it. But they just put them out there and be like, all right, you done with you now. Like that. Where do you go from there?
I don't necessarily believe the rehabilitation of, they say prison is, supposed to rehabilitate you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily believe that. And like you said, for the most part, it is a setup, because it's like, okay, boom. Especially if you do something where you get a felony. So like you said, you can't get a good job, because most jobs don't hire felons.
Mhm.
You're instantly gonna go back to the one thing that you know how to get some money, and then you mess around and get popped again.
Right.
And now you back there doing a longer stretch
Yep.
with all that free labor. So it's kind of like life is kind of like a video game where you really don't want to make no mistakes, no bad
Exactly.
mistakes.
Exactly.
You know, when I say bad mistakes, I mean mistakes that send you off, ship you up the river.
Right.
Because
But that's the thing. People are going to still do it because they're going to think, well, I won't get caught.
why do why do you think people feel so invincible that they feel like out of all these people that get caught doing dumb ish, they feel like they the smartest one? What's this I mean, what's this complex?
It could be numerous things. Like, honestly, it could just be self-righteousness. Oh, I feel I can do it better than you. It could be arrogance. It could be seeing how people go through the system and get out, and they only get a slap on the wrist. So they'd be like, oh, well, I can go on in there. Plus, half my friends is in there. So why not? They don't care. There's so many different scenarios.
See, you can't. Some people like to go to prison though.
Yeah.
That's a little suspicious to me. You like going.
You never know why they do.
You never know. Like some people are comfortable.
Maybe
Are you religious?
spiritual.
Spiritual.
Yes.
What do that mean? No, I'm saying
mean,
because when people say spiritual, they have different definitions. So before I ask the questions I want to ask, I want to make sure I understand what you mean.
What is your question?
Spiritual.
Spiritual. It's non-dominational. Like, there's no Christianity. There's no Catholic. It's none of that. But I'm spiritual. Like, I do have a very good relationship with God and the universe.
Okay. So you do believe in God?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now, do you believe now this is about to go left, okay? It's about to go left just a little bit. Do you believe that the world is so jacked up today because we are living in the end of times? I was just told this. That's why I'm saying it right now. Somebody's watching the podcast and they sent that. So I'm asking you.
I would say yes and no. So
what is maybe for 500, Alex? Okay.
So the reason why I say that is because are we in the end of times? I guess you could say that, definitely. But I also believe that he's calling people like myself, whether you can call them the chosen ones or he's just the light workers, the star seeds, he's calling certain people to come out with these podcasts, to come out with songs, different type of artwork, whatever, to help lift the vibration of everyone, because it's the hate. There's so much darkness. There's so much hate that's coming into the world today. That's why there's it's famine. Famine is in the Bible as well. It's famine by war, by sword, by precedence, which is COVID. Anything like the plague. That's gonna keep happening until he starts seeing, hey, y'all got to start doing better. We're here for each other. And it's going to keep on accumulating, because if you are religious, if you are spiritual, then okay, well, God's already won the victory. So it's like the devil, the darkness, the enemy, whatever you want to call it, is on a leash, right? God's letting them do what he wants to do, because with every bad, there's good, but that's how you turn it around. So we're going to continue to keep having all this violence. Everything's going to continue to keep increasing until people start waking up saying, all right, I quit. I'm not going to do this anymore, because it's got to be exhausting. It's so much that you put in when all this hate keeps going and going and keeps growing and growing. Why not? All you got to do is just be like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So much easier. But until that happens, that's why they say we're in the end of days. That's why he's put in the Bible, I think it was Matthew, I can't remember. I know it was the book of Matthew where he said, last will be first and first will be last. That's exactly what's happening. It's like the world is turning upside down. It's like now we're getting a do-over, So everybody who was originally last will now be first. That's why you got all these famous people who are either dying or they're going to jail. They're getting in trouble for things that you never even would have thought of. And you're just like, so what's going on? How did that happen? That's so crazy. I can't believe that's happening with so and so. Yeah, because now last will be first and first will be last. And now that's exactly what everybody's about to see. And that's exactly what's going on in right in front of us today. Look at, have you seen the desert? It's literally flooding and snowing in the desert. So it's like, come on.
You said something very interesting. You said like all these famous people are, either dying or getting locked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring this around real quick. I'm gonna bring this back to us, right? And when I say
Okay.
us, I mean black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it odd or do you find it interesting that we seem to be the only group of people that can talk about murders, pimping, killing, drugs, and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Publicly, like on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
They'll play it 24/7. Right. I can make a song right now and say N-word this, N-word that, jigga this, I kill this, jigga woo woo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to happen. Nobody will bat an eye. Matter of fact, they'll dance to it.
Mm-hmm.
But no other group can say that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, like, you can't get on the radio and say, I'm gonna do this with a Jew or I'm gonna do this with a white. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They'll take you off. They won't play it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel it's a constructed plan to really damage us and keep us going to prison and keep us on a path of ignorance and nonsense? Because when it comes to us, they let us do it. They let it ride. Oh, go platinum. But you see what happens when these famous people, they say the wrong race and now they got to go on an apology tour. They got to go meet with people to understand the pain of their words. So do you think like this is set in place to like, okay, let's let these little black boys and girls listen to this type of, I guess, destructive type of music so they can have these certain type of attitudes so they can go off the rail and end up right where we want them, in jail?
I would say definitely has something to do with it. It just, again, it's situational because the way I see it is it's more controlled by money and power more than anything because that's all they really want. But if you look at it, okay, say for instance, if we're talking about Jews, we're talking about Christianity, we're talking about whatever type of religion that you say that you're a part of, right? When you think about the people who aren't, and how many atheists are out here, or people who are just like, oh, I don't believe in any of that. I just don't care about it. Same with politics. But then as soon as something happens, what do they want to do? They want to immediately start preaching the word, right? That's God's foundation. That's how strong it is because now, hey, I don't believe in it, but now I'm about to start preaching to you about fairness, about judgment, about this. And 9 times out of 10, most Christians always are the first to judge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's the same because it's a system. I think Malcolm X even talked about it in one of his speeches a long time ago. Is it's built to where the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. I mean, look at cars. If we take a Lexus, right, and I have bad credit, my credit, I'm going to sit here and go buy a Buick for the same amount that a Lexus costs. So why am I paying for I don't know, a 2002 Buick? I'm paying $500, but over here they're paying $400 for a Lexus because they have a 750 credit score and I have a 540 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like that doesn't make any sense. You know that a 2002 Buick LeSabre is going to break down. I'm gonna have to put the maintenance on the car. I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do that. So automatically, I'm gonna be out way more money just because of a credit score. It's like the system is set up to almost make it that way. Is hey, the rich are gonna get richer and the poor are gonna get poorer. Period.
And that's why you have to try to get rich by any means necessary. 50 Cent came out and said, "Get rich or die trying."
I try it.
Exactly. Because
But that's real. Like,
otherwise,
'cause when you think
it's
about
real.
it, but seriously, when you think about it, because if there's more people out here trying to do for themselves, that's what my podcast is about, is trying to get people to realize who they are, remember who you are, because it's about financial literacy. Because if you look at financial independence, most people out here who are becoming entrepreneurs, got their own business going, the system can't control you. You're doing your own business. And that's what they don't like. So that's why they're trying to prevent a lot of people from going into financial independence, because they're like, we're going to lose control. But more and more people are coming out, opening their own businesses, starting their own clothing line, starting their own online business, and doing this because that financial independence is what takes away the control. But so many people are so focused on the division that they keep trying to push, because divided we fall, but together we stand. So the more we keep trying to uplift everybody and tell them, hey, all you got to do is listen in to my podcast, listen in to different people's YouTube channels, start listening, start waking up, because that's what we're trying to tell you a story, because we know what we're talking about. Look at how many people, when you look at the pyramids, people are like, oh, it's to build a replica of the pyramids, it's going to cost millions and billions of dollars. And it's like, for what? They didn't have billions of dollars back then, and they did it because y'all can't do it, because you don't go within. You don't sit and just try to figure it out. You think everything has to be involved with money, and money does not run absolutely everything.
To this day, I think that aliens built the pyramids.
Everybody has their own theory.
Aliens or spiritual people. I just yeah, like if you want to go the spiritual route, remember they had like the Nephilim and all that, like that's in many Bibles and stuff like that, or the giants or whatever.
I
ain't saying it was them, I'm just saying I never was the type of person that believed that we got this big old earth, we got this big old universe, and we're just the only people here.
Right.
I personally don't believe that.
I agree with you.
They be looking at other planets and stuff. I think there's life on other planets, may not be life like us. But yeah, that's just me. And like you said, they want to keep us dumb, because that's the reason they don't teach credit in school. There's no reason why I should know about some guy who traveled over the ocean, fought a cyclops. I ain't never seen a cyclops in my life. I ain't never seen nobody with one eye in the middle of their forehead. And I've seen some people like this, but I ain't it's called the Odyssey. Dude and went on an adventure, fought cyclopses and everything, and Thor, and Zeus, and all these people. But you ain't teaching us nothing about credit, and credit is literally they say cash is king, but majority of the people in the world don't have cash like that. So you better have your credit right.
Right.
So you can pay these lower rates, so you can afford some finer things.
Right.
And they don't teach you at all.
Exactly.
You have
to
take
teaching
classes.
This irrelevant math. Like, it doesn't make sense. It really does not. Why not? You can learn about, balancing a checkbook. I mean, I know people don't really use checks anymore, but that's still something to learn. They took out cursive. That doesn't make any sense. So a kid is just never supposed to know how to write a signature. That doesn't make any sense to me either. And then there's so many students that I have spoke to that said that they learn more on Google and Alexa, YouTube, than they do in school anymore, especially ever since COVID. When the kids come home and they're talking about some e-learning, how is it 7 hours worth of school, when they come home and do e-learning, they're done in 30 minutes? Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. All this extra hard math. What are they doing it for? What are we taking trigonometry and pre-calculus and all this other stuff? If you're going to be a mathematician or something, then great. Then that's what you do it for. You want to be an astronaut or something, then you need it. Then that's what you take in college. But in school, they need to learn more about life. And I don't care. I understand that I'm not a good speller because I rely on Microsoft too much.
I know
But
that
they need
autocorrect,
spelling
they got
tests
me in trouble.
all through school, all the way through high school. They need to have spelling tests because I am a horrible speller. And I'm like, they need to learn these things. This is stuff that actually really matters because kids aren't really learning anything anymore.
Mm-hmm. I know that. I can't listen. I can't spell for shit. I'm gonna be honest. Like autocorrect is my best friend.
Right.
Sometimes
That's what I said.
it's, my spelling be so bad. Sometimes I spell a word right and look at it like
That don't look right.
exactly. Be right in the mug. This is why. That's why. This is another reason why I feel that parents are so important, because a lot of people ain't gonna give you the game. They ain't gonna teach you the game. They ain't
Mhm.
gonna show you how to be successful because they don't want you to be successful, because the more ignorant you are, the better it
Right.
is for them because they can take advantage of you.
Exactly.
So, but then it comes to a point where if the parents don't know no better and the grandma and the grandfathers don't know no better, the child ain't gonna know no better. And that's
Right.
the way that they want to keep it.
Hmm.
That's why a lot of times it's important that everybody ain't got the mindset to just take life by the horns and just say, you know what, I'm gonna learn this by myself. I'm gonna learn how to fix my credit by myself because ain't nobody teaching me. You know, I'm
Right.
gonna learn how to read contracts by myself because I keep signing these contracts and getting screwed over.
Right.
You know, so what would be your advice for people who may not, you know, just feel like, you know what, credit's hard. Learning how to read contracts is hard. I don't know how to do a signature. They never taught us how to do cursive.
Hmm.
I seen a little girl doing math the other day on TikTok, right?
Hmm.
She had like 15 steps. It was something stupid like 15 plus 12. And she did like 30 steps. And I'm like, why are you doing 30 steps? That's like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
15 plus 12. You should know that in your head. Like, you don't even have to add this, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was like 30 steps. And when she finished the 30 steps, she came up with the right answer. But I was like, that was so unnecessary. I'm scared. I'm scared to death when my little ones start like really, really going to school. Because if they doing 30 steps for a 1-step problem now, it may be 50
Yeah.
steps by the time they get to the 7th grade.
It is.
Second, third grade.
It's very that. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? Is like real life because my daughter, you know what I mean. She's about to be in high school. I stopped stopped helping her with her homework a very long time ago. But my son, he still, bless his heart, he still tries to come to me and ask me how to help him, and I just be like, we've already gone over this. You have to get on YouTube because I don't know how to do it, but I have to physically go on YouTube myself to try to teach myself or try to relearn it myself. And all I can think is, man, I have really dumbed down since high school. Or this stuff is just the way they do it is just so different. Just and things that what they call it is totally different. And it's just like it's hard for no reason. Like, why are you guys doing this? It does not make any sense. And that's kind of, I guess, a flaw of mine. If it doesn't make sense to me, it's just I don't even give it the time of day to try to learn it. But it doesn't make sense for them to have to do all these things that are just difficult for no reason. That's exactly what it is.
That has some type of weird name for it. You be like, that you talking about adding, subtraction? Like,
Right.
what's this new word y'all got for it? That's adding.
Exactly.
See,
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's no point in that.
it ain't. But this is the thing. Your kids are gonna be okay.
Absolutely.
And I said, my kids gonna be okay.
Absolutely.
And that's just because I know the type of people that we are.
Yeah.
So like when I was just saying, everybody can't just take life by the horns, you know.
Yeah.
We more life by the horns, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is the world gonna end? Is the world gonna end? Not
I don't believe so.
Not are we in the end of days? Is the world going to end?
I don't believe so. I
You don't
think
believe so?
that it's going to change. There's going to be a shift.
Like the flood.
There's no, not necessarily like the flood, but I think there's definitely a shift coming. And if you haven't felt it yet, you definitely should be. But it's about to be a big shift coming. It's going to take a lot of people by surprise, and some people won't be surprised. They're going to be like, well, I've been trying to tell you all along. So we'll see.
I've been trying to tell y'all along. Y'all get to this No Game But Tie game. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Make sure y'all hit that like button. And make sure y'all hit all these other buttons. Now, we about to bring this to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I need you.
First
off, I want to say thank you for coming on the No Game But Tie Game podcast.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we definitely going to do this again. And then I'm definitely about to be over there on your podcast too.
Please do.
I need you to tell everybody.
Oh Lord.
Where they can. Now, this is just regular stuff. All right.
Okay.
Where they can find you.
They can find me. Go to www.it'sallabouthealingpodcast.com or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Okay. Well, what's your Instagram? What's your Facebook? Do you have a Twitter?
I do not have a Twitter.
We need all that.
The Instagram is Soul Healer 1777. And my Facebook is Robin Black. It's All About Healing Podcast. And so is my YouTube.
Soul Healer 1777. Do 1777 mean anything special to you?
Yes, those are angel numbers. And that's where I got it from.
Those are angel numbers.
Yes. Just do the research, Mike. Just look up 17, angel number 17, and then angel number 77 and see what resonates with you.
Okay, so is there like any specific angel? Like, is that Archangel Michael, Raphael, Gabriel? Is it Gabriel?
Gabriel? No, it's not.
Gabriel, okay.
Yeah, Archangel Michael is 42, but there's a lot in it that goes into it. Like I said, just go to my website, and that's also what else I do is I those are some of my services. I get into numerology, I get into all of those things, and I can further explain those things as well.
Okay, one more question before I let you go.
Mm-hmm.
One more. Do you believe, and this is only because we talking about angels and angel numbers,
mm-hmm.
Do you believe in possessions?
Absolutely, yes.
So you believe that there's people around here. You know what's funny about possessions? Maybe I was possessed one time. Maybe that's why I like leggings and pancakes, because I'm possessed by a legging and pancake demon or angel.
Okay.
But, listen. I just always find it interesting, right? That you do have people that's either spiritual, that believe in God like yourself, or even if they believe in a certain religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
They stay talking about the devil and God and all this. But the second a person say that they possessed, then all of a sudden they just crazy. They're like, oh, that motherfucker crazy. He over there talking about he possessed by demons. Like, why is this so far-fetched for a person to actually be possessed by a demon if you believe in God and demons? Like, why do they just go to saying, oh, that motherfucker need help? He need to go to the hospital. He crazy.
Because it's too far out of their reach, and they don't have an answer for it anymore. So 9 times out of 10, when people don't know the answer, that's exactly what they go to is, oh, they must be crazy. But if you're possessed by a demon and you're now having demonic behavior, that is a possession. You are going to seem crazy to the average person. It's going to take someone with spiritual eyes to be able to tell, okay, you're possessed. You have a demon inside of you.
I know, like, you seeing people crawl up the wall and they ain't got no stickum stuff on their hands.
Have you seen somebody crawl up the wall, Mike?
Listen, I done seen things with these eyes, Robin. A lot of stuff I keep. Listen, a lot of stuff I keep to myself because tell people for what? They just gonna think I'm crazy. You ain't gotta believe it.
He said, tell people for what? Well, don't tell. That's what I say. You have to use your discernment. You have to tell certain people. You have to tell your spiritual leaders, your healed. Someone like me. You can talk to me offline, and then you and I can talk about it. But I don't really believe you because you're always trying to be funny, Mike. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be the end of this podcast. Like you said, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Also, make sure that you follow Robin. Tell them one more time where they can find you everywhere.
It's All About Healing Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and www.itsallabouthealingpodcast.com.
That's right. Thank you very much, Robin Black. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, the facts of life remains the same. There's no game, but tie game.
Have